Hello. So, May. I'm going to go ahead and include June 1st just because the fact I just beat a game not that long ago. All right. Um I beat in May I technically beat two games, but I was almost done with the third one. I just finished it this morning and I didn't uh get around to finishing it till then because I went to bed. Um so first is the longest game, Tales of Graces F remastered. I finished the main game, and then I continued on and did the extra story, which took even longer to get done. Well, the extra story was like 10 more hours on top of the game I already done at that point, mainly because I was using the ability to move fast, the run option. Um, and I had already done pretty much everything else, and I wasn't going for completion, so I didn't have to waste time getting specific items for the mixer, the dualizing, or anything like that. So I didn't have to do any of that because I was like, you know what? I want to do all the scenes in the game. That was my goal. So that meant I did optional events because I wanted to see the skits, which that means yes, I did most of the in requests. I did the arena. I did all the different optional things basically to see every optional scene, every single skit. And this involves a lot of back and forth sometimes, especially once you get access to the ability to fast travel. Now, you don't have to use the fast travel on everything. There is still the majority of stuff can be accessed the old fashioned way on foot if you want to do that, which is good if you're trying to get some levels, especially towards the end of the game. I do recommend being close to like level 80 for the extra story in boss. And she gave me a hard way to go, and I think I was level 79. And I was like, this lady. I literally had to have all of the characters that could heal on the team at Asbel because he's the main character. He's the one you have the most time, and he has some of the best attacks that can combo up, which is very useful for the last fight because that was literally the only thing keeping her from attacking the other characters while they healed. Had Hubert on the team. He has a healing thing. I had Sharia. She has healing. And I had Sophie, and she has healing. And I had made sure to unlock all the healing for both girls because I was like, I'm going to need it. I needed to be revived one time, and I still had just like a little health when I finally beat her. And I was just like, okay, this final boss lady is annoying. um, it's a different boss from the final boss of the main game, as the final boss of the main game gets took care of at the end of the main game. So they had to have somebody entirely different. And I was concerned at first since the main game, the credits show little side snippet images that kind of give you the epilogue. And then you see a scene and you're like, that's clearly the future. This is showing you what happened, essentially. And you get an idea of what happened. And I was like, well, how do they work within those confines for the extra story while not changing the epilogue any? And they just expanded on the relationships of the characters while having it take place slightly in the future, but not too far to affect anything. And they continue to hint at the same kind of future, but with different images after giving you some skits and some scenes that. Goodness. That confirmed that the future is what was hinted at. And I'm like, alright, that's kind of cool. Yeah, they definitely. This is still basically the same future. They just kind of expanded upon it. They give you more scenes to play upon it, and more stuff. They'll be like, okay, yeah, that's definitely gonna happen. And it's cute, and I really like it because I was like, are they going to? Because they never really elaborate on the relationships in the main game as much as they do in the extra story. Um, because the main game is more focused on who is Sophie and what's going on with the Valkanus at some point. That becomes the main thing. Stuff's going on with the Valkanus, stuff's going on with Richard, and you still don't know who Sophie is or how she appeared. And that kind of becomes the main focus. And all kinds of crazy happens, and I'm like, what? At some point, the game understands that the player's probably confused and has not been following the story, and is like me going, okay, like, I think I get it, but I'm totally guessing. And it finally gives you an explanation because it has one of the characters straight up be like, wait, what's going on? And they give like a summary of sorts, and it helps explain things. I'm like, okay, I think I understand now. All right. It's like I'm not 100% sure I understand all of it, and it seems like the characters don't either. They don't really get to that point. They just get to the point of here's what we need to know, and here's what we need to do because of that. And it's like, yeah, as long as the important points are focused on, it's fine. So that worked. And I really loved the game. I think, I'm trying to remember, was it 62 hours altogether? 62, 65? Something like that. There was a lot of hours by the time I finished. I just can't remember the exact number. But yeah, it was definitely a full length RPG, and I really enjoyed it. I think anybody who really likes to have story based RPGs would enjoy that game, even if they don't necessarily get into the combat. I personally could not get into the combat and putting it on auto battle for the majority of the game, and that worked for me. I mean, it is completely possible to auto battle the whole game if you level up enough. If you're like me and try to skim the levels a few times, like I could have been a higher level for some of the arena battles. You can kind of do that. You just gotta kind of pay close attention to their health bars and occasionally interfere if they're not like healing because they need it. That kind of thing. All right. Overall, though, even though I don't really get into that style of the combat because it's kind of like a stop go system, and that's the reason I've not finished any of the certain games in the Mana series, like Secret of Mana, and I think Trials of Mana does the same thing. I'm trying to remember. Where you gotta like wait for the bar to process and then you can smack things. I don't like that. I want to either be able to constantly smack the things or just give the command to smack the things and then watch it play out. I don't want to have to, like, hit it. Okay, let's get back. Okay, hit it. No, let's step back again. Because to me, that's just that's annoying. I'm like, if it's gonna be turn based, make it turn based. Make me choose an action and just sit there and watch it. If you want it to be active turn based, do something like Final Fantasy 12 did, where I select, okay, I want you to attack, and then I sit there and watch them attack until at some point I'm like, okay, now you need to stop attacking and go heal yourself because you're stupid and useless. So, I mean, that was kind of my issue. Was that it? Yeah, that was like the main things to touch on with it because I really don't want to get into the story. A Tales of Graces F. Just know that it's really good. It's in depth. There's a lot of emotions involved, and there's a lot of things that each character's focused on thinking about. They do a good job of showing backstory for the characters and kind of showing these characters figuring out what should I do. And sometimes they even show them coming to the conclusion and how they come to their thought process on stuff. And it's very interesting watching their interactions and how they try to think things through. But it's not always heavy. It's not always like, oh my goodness, gotta save the world. Sometimes it's Sophie being clueless about something and saying some kind of really ridiculous thing, and they're like, oh, Captain, what have you been telling Sophie? He's like, ugh. What are you running away for? Come back here. And I'm like, okay, well, Malik's in trouble now. It's kind of funny to see those skits in between some of the more serious matters. From very serious talks to some cute, lighthearted skits where they're just talking about something silly. Even in some of the serious moments, they got them talking about the fact that they gotta go probably out the monster's butt. And Sharia is all like, would you stop talking about butts? She's having a complete meltdown. She's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to do it. And it's like, well, you kind of have to. Gotta get all the monsters somehow. And then it gets brought up again, like, hours later in the game. Like, you've moved on. You're no longer thinking about that monster anymore. It's in the past now. We're now focused on going to get some kind of shuttle and seeing if we can make it fly and if it's gonna work to get us where we're trying to get to. And somebody says something, I forget what they say exactly, but it's along the lines of a reference accidentally to being pooped out or something to do with a butt. And Cheryl's like, ugh. She's like, I don't want to think about it. And everybody else, ah. And they're like, did I miss something? Because they weren't with the group when it happened. And I'm like, yeah, you totally missed it. The skit's like the inside the joke or outside the inside joke or something like that. And I was like, all right, I love that. That's great. And it's very funny at times with those skits. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I want. I want the game to have serious moments and then have these really hilarious conversations take place because that's realistic, you know. That's what would happen. People can go from being serious to sometimes something funny being brought up, and then there's just like, okay, there's a moment of that's funny. And then they get back on task. Anyways, after I spent most of May playing that, I then played Fatal 12, which is a visual novel on the Switch. I'm not sure if it's on anything else. I feel like Fatal 12 might be a Switch-only game. Well, regardless, unlike other visual novels that focus like on relationships and blah, this one's focused on the fact that in the prologue, you die. But you're brought back as part of some screwed up competition called Divine Selection, hosted by Parsa the Goddess, who is a jerk. You can learn more about her in the game as you proceed, but at the beginning, you're just kind of like, okay, here's the deal. There's 12 people, and only one of us will make it. And then you're like, but wait a second. The main character, one of her best friends, is also part of this selection. And she's like, I can't. That would be like killing my friend. Although her friend has made a point right off the bat to say, no, I'm going to make sure you survive. I don't care. I don't want it to be me. And then you kind of go from there. And all the choices you make determines your ending. There are 4 bad endings and 3 goodish endings. I'm going to call them good endings. I don't really know. Like, one of them is less so, but at the same point, based on the character's perspective of things, they share their thoughts, and you're like, okay, based on the way they're thinking about this, this is a good ending. They've accepted that this is how things played out, and they're moving on. And they're going to move on because that's how it has to be. And you're like, well, it's kind of dark, but at the same time, that's how it is whenever you have to accept that someone's passed away. It's dark. There's no light way to look at it. And there's all kinds of stuff that's just wild in the game. If you go for the route that explains everything about Parsa and you learn her backstory, you're like, what? And there's more questions than answers by the time you're done. You end up with the main character. I don't think I need to know more. I get the gist of it, and what's important is being took care of. You're like, okay, yeah, you know what? I'm with you. I'm totally with you on that. I like that ending since it kind of wraps up the divine selection thing. I don't want to say more because that would be spoiling it, but it gives you an explanation of how divine selection happened. It gives you an explanation of why it's Parsa, that's the goddess person. It gives you an explanation of who she is. It gives you a better explanation of this guy that sometimes appears in Dream World. It lets you know who he is. And you're like, okay, I get it now. Okay. I kind of understand what's going on. And it's only down that route path that you learn those things. Because all the other routes do not go down that path. It is cut off right before you hit that path because you have to change an interaction with Miharu that keeps you from reading a book that tells you something that leads you down the path of learning about Parsa. And you're like, well then, okay. The other 2 endings, one of them it's kind of a given. It's a reference to the game itself. It's called Fatal 12, and it's kind of the ending that when you start the game, you know it's one of the endings. You're like, this is going to be an ending, and I'm probably not going to like it. But then you see it, and the way it's portrayed, I don't want to spoil how it's portrayed, just the way it's portrayed, you're like, you know what? Actually, it's not as sad as I thought it would be. It's kind of... it's okay. It's like, you know what? I can accept this ending. It feels like it's kind of the normal ending, if you would. You got your best endings, your good endings, your normal endings type thing. To me, it felt like kind of the normal ending. Like, this is kind of what I expected. I like the way it's been portrayed. It's not a sad ending that way. Because there are bad endings where you're like, well, that's sad and stupid. So, you gotta keep that in mind. I don't know that any of the bad endings are worth watching. I'm trying to think. So there was the one... well, 2 of them portrayed different people being the survivor of the divine selection. And while they're bad endings, they were actually... I liked the way that they were represented. It was very interesting because it kind of portrays this is what would happen had this became the outcome. And you're like, well, they're very unfortunate situations. But at the same time, you see characters moving on and making specific choices based on what happened. And I'm like, I kind of appreciate these bad endings. I don't like them because of what they imply, but I appreciate them for what they are, and I understand why they're a bad ending. But at the same time, it's like, they're very valid endings. I'm trying to remember the other 2. I remember one of them was just bad, and one of the 3 good endings alters it at a certain point to keep it from going completely bad. and instead goes to the between the two endings that are not the ending that shows Parsa's history. So I'm like, okay, that ending is. I mean, I don't see the point in playing that bad ending just because you get a glimpse, enough of a glimpse of it, while pursuing the other two endings that are not bad endings. I'm trying to remember what the fourth bad ending was. I mean, I played it. I played the game. Which one? Is it wasn't really the fourth bad ending, it was the third one. Because let's see, there was that and there's that. What was that one? I think it just kind of. Okay, yeah, I remember now. Yeah, that bad ending was useless. That one made no sense. I saw no reason for it. Like I got where they were kind of going with it because it was all about making the choice to be determined. But I feel like it could have been left out. Really, it was like I think it was bad ending 3. Yeah. It makes like a slight reference to Parsa's past, but it's useless ultimately. And I'm just kind of like, I don't. What's the point of this? This is stupid. Because it has Parsa say something, and you're like, is she remembering? Nah, she didn't remember nothing. She's like, I feel like I should care. But I don't know. Weird. And you're like, what? And then when you learn about her, you're like, yeah, you should care, you goofus. Yeah. Not enough for me to really be bothered. That ending just it was useless. I didn't really see a good purpose for it. It was one of those cases where I'm like, yeah, that could have that wasn't necessary. That was like the only ending I was like, and okay. And it's a bad ending 4. I was like, I get it. I mean, it has to be there because by choosing the correct choice, you get to the other two endings. But it doesn't really add any value by watching it. And there's nothing for completing the game, by the way. There is no completion bonus whatsoever. You just see that you completed it. Oh, okay. Great. I wasted some of my time watching bad endings I didn't need to see. And then, one of the endings, I really didn't expect that it would be an option for that to happen. Um, Even though, like, from the beginning, it's the only option the main character wants to exist. And I'm like, I feel like even though there's drawbacks to that decision, overall, it's for me the best ending because it's like, you know what? She, in a way, got what she wanted ever since the beginning of the game. She's constantly wanted this to be how things ended. And while there's consequences of choosing to do so, I don't know that that's a bad thing because things worked out anyway. So, yeah, I don't want to spoil it by explaining anything. Just know that there's a lot of references about memories, whether you want to remember something or not remember something, about the fact that stuff gets forgotten by everybody else whenever a person has their thing reset to not survive, then no longer does anything they did during those weeks while that they had a chance at living matter. It don't matter what they did during those weeks. Nobody will remember what they did during that time. It's like it never happened. As a matter of fact, they make like a keen example in the game. There's a specific character that passes away, and it's part of like the main storyline that they get elected to not make it. They had wrote a letter. Once they are gone, the paper's blank. And it's like, oh, that's harsh. But at the same time, it's like I get it. I understand what they're trying to show. They're trying to show just what happens, how it gets erased. Anything that they did when they shouldn't have still been alive, I guess. But I mean, it's one of those things where you're like, okay, well, that's sucks because then there's nothing that they can leave behind to deal with anything that they regretted. And that's another huge thing because you get that each of them, there's their name, their cause of death, and their regret, and uh that's how they end up not surviving. If they want to survive, they have to make sure nobody gets all three pieces of information about them. Because if somebody knows those three pieces of information, they can then choose for that death to play out like it originally did. And then that person no longer is alive anymore. And I'm like, that is dark and messed up. And it's explained very early on. There's a character you don't even get to know unless you pursue getting to the end of the game. It isn't until you are close to one of the three non-bad endings. It's whenever you get close to that. At that point, you finally get to see via the perspective of another character, because that's what the game does sometimes. Sometimes shows another character's thoughts and them talking, communicating with other people, and so on. In this case, it shows one of the characters thinking back to the particular person that they eliminated first, the person that you never got to know the name of, never got to know how they died, their regrets, any of that. And then it's revealed, and you're like, oh, well, that was awful. I never got to know any of this about them, and theirs was some of the simplest things. It's like, that's terrible. They just had a normal life, and it was took. Just like that. And they never had a chance even at trying to hide their cards or anything to interact, try to get other people's cards. None of that stuff that goes on during the rest of the time. They literally, within the first week, are gone. They don't get very long at all. And I was like, wow. Okay then. That was fast for them. And when you finally get to see what happened, you're like, that's rough and harsh. So I really can't say anything else about the game without spoiling something. So I'll just wrap it with it's one of the shortest visual novels I've ever played. As I played through all the endings, even the bad ones, in 17 hours. I mean, I do read fast, but generally a visual novel will take me upwards 35 to 45 hours at least. And that's the shorter ones, if you will, the ones that only have 4 or 5 characters to pursue. This one had 7 endings to pursue, and it only took. I'm like, generally, because if I think about a typical visual novel I play, it'll take 8 hours to reach the halfway point, and another 6 to reach the first ending. And then let's say that ending had 2 bad endings off of it. Just doing 2 character routes alone would take, 8, 6, you got 14, 28 hours. So, I mean, and that's just a typical one. Because I'm thinking about Amnesia Memories. It would take just to get through. 2 character routes would equal about 6 to 7 endings, and it would take 28 to 30 hours to get through 2 of the characters. Winter's Wish, Spirits of Edo, same thing. To get through 2 character routes, close to 6 endings would take roughly 28 to. I think that one would have took 35. They had a lot more text in it. So I was like, this one's short. Let's That's like the only bad thing about it. It's short. It's too short. I feel like I wanted it to be longer. I wanted there to be more like epilogue, I guess. Like once you got to those endings, it's like, okay, well, that's it. Like I wanted to go further out, like see more stuff happen. I don't know. It just kind of like once you get to the end, that's the end. Ta-da! Like, well, I guess that's it. I don't know. I just felt like there should have been more, and it was kind of weird for me because while it is concluded, I was at the same point like, I'm done. Oh, okay. Felt like there should have been more hoops to jump through or something. I don't know. Maybe because like a lot of other visual novels have like mini games and like other optional stuff that you can unlock, and this one didn't. Maybe that's the problem. I'm not really sure. Anyways, and then I had time, so I started playing Panzer Dragoon Remake on the Switch. Um, I didn't technically finish it before June, but it was close enough. I only had like 20 more minutes of gameplay to get through. I mean, it's an arcade shooter. There's not really much to say about it. You're a dude on a dragon. You fly around. You shoot things. I say things because I'm not sure what they are. Bug-looking things. Some flying ships. Another dragon. Like the bosses seem to mainly be ships and the other dragon. And then like the final boss is the other dragon because I don't know. I'm really not sure what the storyline was. Like they give you some dialogue, but it's I read it and I'm like, "What?" I'm sorry, I don't understand what's going on like at all and nothing has been explained. And then it just kind of moves on. Like, there you go. Like, okay. And the ending explains nothing either. I'm like, I won? Okay. I really. It's one of those games where you're like, you know what? I don't think it's meant for the story. It's absolutely nothing to the story. It's just fly around and shoot things. You're on a dragon, fly and shoot stuff. It's fun. And you know what? It is. Sometimes arcade shooters just fun for being an arcade shooter. And then, of course, once you beat the game, you watch the credits. And then it gives you a code to unlock the secret mode, which is just an extra menu where you can look at the images that were in the credits, but, like, take your time looking at them. It's a gallery, basically, of concept art and stuff. And then there's a thing that allows you to select the stage, select various things, like you can put God mode on, you can put rapid fire on, you can make enemies easier. It's just kind of a you beat the game, now you can just kind of goof around with it and make it easier and just kind of shoot down enemies to your heart's content, which is kind of the whole point, I think. Like once you've beat an arcade shooter like that, that's the point. You just go back to play it for fun, and sometimes it's fun just to be like, I win, yeah. And other times it's fun to actually play it for real. You can always still play through it again because it's very short. It took me like an hour and a half to finish it. Some people say it takes only an hour. Maybe I'm not that good at it. But, you know, it was fun, and I think that was the main purpose of it. Okay, on to the games I got this month. Let's start with the main one. I think everybody knows this came out. Elden Ring, Night Rain. So this image here was made into a poster by Amazon. For this, that's the edition I got. I got Amazon's deluxe edition. I entered in the deluxe code. I honestly do not know what it unlocks because I don't think it says on here. It does not. It just says to access the downloadable content. Yeah. Okay. Fine, don't tell me what it is. It does tell you on here you do not need the Elden Ring main game to play this game. This is a standalone game, so you gotta keep that in mind. It's a side game. I haven't actually played it yet. I just kind of wanted to make sure I got it. And like I said, that's the poster. It's kind of a small poster. I thought it'd be bigger than that, but I don't care. I mainly wanted to make sure I got the DLC, whatever it is, and I did, so we're good. Alright. Let's see here. Start with these small, loose games. The only Bravely game I've been missing in the Bravely series, Bravely Second Inlayer, I went ahead and got it because I was like, you know what, Switch 2 is coming out soon. I went ahead and pre-ordered the digital code to download and play the HD remaking of it on the Switch 2. When I get the Switch 2, it's probably going to be like the first game I play on the Switch 2. So I was like, I should go ahead and get this game. While this game is not necessary to play Bravely Default 2, because Bravely Default 2 kind of stands on its own, I wanted to go ahead and get this because I know there's good storyline on it. It's a great RPG, and I was just like, you know what? I like a good RPG. Alright, Final Fantasy, The Four Heroes of Light, one of the Final Fantasy titles I was missing. I didn't have this DS game. I really don't know anything about it. It's one of those cases where I'm like, I know it's Final Fantasy. It was just a game I never got around to. Final Fantasy Tactics A2 Grimoire of the Rift, I think. Yeah. Another DS game I had not got around to getting. So I went ahead and got it. I have Final Fantasy Tactics on PlayStation Network to play on the... I could either play it on my Vita or on my PS3. Back in the day, I could play it on my PSP, but now I don't know how to get that thing to hook to the internet. And I don't feel like hooking it to the PS3 and doing convoluted downloads because I don't care. Do you care that much? I also have the Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions for the PSP, which is the one I'll play on the PSP most likely. Most likely, I'll play the War of the Lions version just because I know it added cutscenes. And that's why I was like, I should go ahead and get the A2 because that's the only Final Fantasy Tactics that I don't have at this point. Alright, so I didn't know there was a 3DS version of this game. I had been trying to get the Wii U one, and it was like just incredibly expensive. And then I saw there was a 3DS one that was like rather cheap, so I went and got this. Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. I was like, why am I making my life difficult? Just get on 3DS. It's still several mini games based around the Olympics. It's still Mario and Sonic. It still kind of encapsulates what the game is. I don't care which version I have of the Mario and Sonic games. I think the other ones I mainly have on the DS anyways. So, this is a game I've been wanting to get, and I kept putting it off. I finally went and got it. Diddy Kong Racing. Like, I feel like that's the one game they never put on the Switch Online. And I was like, but I want to play this game. And I never see it. So, I just finally went ahead and bought it. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy it. Why not? Go ahead and get that. And that way I can play it. I looked into the DS version, and I learned that some people say that the DS version's worse. That some of the mechanics are kind of meh. And something about the character selection's different. And I was like, well, then I'll get the original. There wasn't like a huge price difference anyways. So I don't know if this is actually the official release cartridge or if this is just like a English translation re-release type thing. I mainly wanted to make sure I had this game because it's one of the games I don't have in the YS series. And finding this game is difficult. YS5 Caffeine, The Last City of Sand. I don't know why this game is so hard to find. I don't know if maybe it has something to do with its release. I didn't really look into it. I just was like, okay, you know what? English version, it it acts like it's the original thing, but I'm not sure. I just know at least it plays. It plays as YS5, and that's good enough for me. I don't need to know the details of it. It's the SNES cartridge, and that's good enough for me. Alright. GameStop kills me. I'd rather they at least just printed a fake cover. That would be better than this nonsense. Alright. Rune Factory 4 for the 3DS. I finally started deciding I wanted to play Rune Factory games. I have no explanation for myself, other than I did pre-order the Rune Factory game that comes out this year for the Switch 2, so I could get actually a physical game on Switch 2. There's only like a few games I'm having that are actually physical for Switch 2. I'm like, these are digital, aren't they? Kind of realize that they're majority of Switch 2 right now is gonna be digital, and I'm like, I want some physical stuff, please, thank you. Alright, so I went and got Rune Factory 4 for 3DS because I was like, you know what? Rune Factory actually looks like it's my kind of jam. Alright. Some visual novels that I don't remember what they're about. I'm such a terrible person. But you got Ever 17 and Never 7. So Ever 17, the Out of Infinity, and Never 7, the End of Infinity. So, whatever. And then the inside's just like this weird network looking stuff, and I'm like, cool. That doesn't help me remember what this is about. And then the back of it's all in Japanese, and I'm like, I don't remember what zero means in ratings, but I'm pretty sure it's like their mature rating. And then I'm like, I don't remember what these icons mean. Because they got these icons that try to tell you why it's rated that way. And I'm like, male and female, the little arrow and plus sign thing. I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, maybe sexual content? You got a hand with a knife. I'm like, violence? I was like, but it also has a gun, so two kinds of violence? I don't understand. Why are the violences separated? Maybe guns is a separate thing? I was like, I'm not gonna go get out a bunch of games and look at their ratings and explanations to try to understand what that means, because it does not make sense to me. And plus, like, this is what they do in English. They just put words. They don't put actual weird little icons that don't make any sense. Alright, so haven't even got around to this game, the base game, but the free DLC came out, and I was like, well, I've been wanting to get around to this game, so I went ahead and got it. I still haven't actually got around to the game, but I actually have it now. Sea of Stars for the Switch. Ta-da! On my mission of trying to get all the Sonic games that I am missing, because I don't have that many I'm missing at this point. I went ahead and got Sonic Rivals 1 for the PSP. And I was just looking at the back, because it doesn't explain anything. It shows, like, cards, and it says earn and win up to 150 special bonus features. Like, win bonus features? What? Main thing I was excited about is it actually has its booklet. I was like, yes! Somebody actually left the booklet in there. Alright, now for the two games I got from Video Games Plus. Blue Reflection, I've been wanting to get this game, because getting a hold of this game is hard. And then Blades of Fire. I don't remember what this game is about. I just remember thinking it looked cool. I've not actually played it yet, so I don't know. I do know that this is a, like, social sim RPG. You talk to the peoples, and then you magical girl transform and beat up monsters. That's kind of the extent of that game. Alright. Rise of the Ronin. I've been wanting to get this game. I finally got it. I like any kind of like samurai-esque type game. So you got this Ronin guy, got his sword. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's definitely my kind of thing. I love it. So I got this just simply for the giggles of it. It was like $10, I think. It wasn't very expensive. I like the Peanuts, and I've been wanting to get this game just because I was like, that's kind of funny that there's a Snoopy game. Snoopy's Great Adventure. But, you know, they show him like on this airplane thing, but if you look at the images, it's kind of like just your typical platforming side scroller type game. There's nothing really special about the game per se. It's just one of those cases of I was like, you know, I'd have fun with it anyways just because of what it is. And again, them and their laziness at GameStop. It's Just Dance 2, Disney 2. I know words. Just Dance Disney 2. Right? Yeah, Disney Party 2. For the Wii U. I like Disney music. I mean, I think a lot of people probably could like Disney music. So I was like, you know what? It's an excuse to get up and exercise. So I know a lot of people say this game sucks, which it probably does. I wanted to go ahead and have all the Sonic games. So Sonic Free Riders. I probably won't play it very much outside of just for giggles. It still has its booklet, which is kind of cool. It was like $5. Like, that's the main reason I was like, yeah, I don't care. I like how it advertises an anime DVD, but this is a reprinted box art, which I wish GameStop would do this. Because it's not even like the case that the game originally would come in, since there's not a thing for the anime DVD. But it's just the game, and that's fine by me. So this is Dot Hack Part 1 Infection. Not to be confused with Dot Hack GU Part 1, which I do have. This is the original series with Kite. I think you play as Kite in this particular game. I'm pretty sure in GU is after you no longer play as Kite because something happens, and I don't know. I'm not gonna go into it because I'm just gonna hurt my brain. Anyway, the original Sonic Riders, because I do have, I think it's on Wii. It's like Sonic Free Riders or something. I don't remember. Zero Gravity, yeah, because Free Riders is Kinect. Zero Gravity's the one I got it on Wii. It was on several systems, and then this is the original base game, Sonic Riders. Yeah, Sonic Riders, a way to get confused with Sonic games. Basically, I got the three different versions of the game on 3 different consoles. At this point, that's what matters. Officially have them all. I think I need to get Sonic Rivals 2. I don't have it bookmarked. I need to look up and bookmark it on something. Sonic Boom, Fire, and Ice. I don't know how I skipped it. I skipped it existing. I was like, really? Oh, okay. And I need to get Shadow the Hedgehog on PlayStation 2, which I consider part of the Sonic series because Shadow, who cares? I think that's it. I feel like I got all the other ones. I could be wrong. There might be another 3DS title that I'm forgetting for the Sonic Boom games. I just know that I realized I didn't have Fire and Ice, and I was like, oh, I forgot that existed. I feel like with the Sonic Boom games, it's one of those, oh, there's another one? Huh. I don't remember that. Yeah, it exists. I just completely forgot about it. But you know what? That's fine. I think a lot of people forgot about Sonic Boom, and I don't blame them. I just want to have them all because I am going to eventually sit down and play through all the games. just because I find it hilarious. I don't necessarily try to beat those games because I'm terrible at Sonic games. I have fun with it for the fact that they're goofy. That's all it is to me. I think I've only ever beat Sonic the Hedgehog 1, and I didn't get the good ending because I didn't get all the emeralds. Instead, I got Eggman juggling the emeralds I didn't get. And I'm like, whatever, go away, man. I beat you. That's good enough for me. Alright. Until next time. And I'm hoping to have a Switch 2 to show next time. I pre-ordered it, but I've heard people having pre-orders canceled on them. So I'm like, oh, please don't do that to me. But as long as everything goes well, I'll have a Switch 2 to show. And the couple of games that are physical that come out this month. I think the other ones don't even come out this month. I'm pretty sure so the Donkey Kong one comes out next month. I don't remember. Anyways, I'll show what I have. uh, anyways, I'm saying anyways again. I think that is everything, and yeah, all right. Until next time, bye.